Growing up, when my family would gather for ordinary meals or for holiday feast, they were gatherings around a kitchen table where we would connect as a family. I came from a big family, and it was a cast of characters from our immediate family to our extended family. And we did not want to be late or refuse an invitation because it would be a missed opportunity to gather to celebrate as a family and as a community around a feast of really good food and great conversation. Today's gospel is a parable about food and feast and invitation, where a king gave a wedding feast, and he invited guests on the list not only once but twice, people who had received an invitation and got an invitation to say, come to this wedding, refused. They had an excuse of not being able to attend. But yet with God, there was a sense of urgency. There was a sense that the food was prepared and ready, and that if not, that food would spoil. It would not be any good. And God had a sense of urgency. There was a tremendous amount of God's kindness and generosity. The call then went out to the outcast to bring both the good and the bad to the table because the feast was ready. God was welcoming and ready. Now, during that feast, later on in the gospel, the king notices that someone's not wearing a wedding garment. Someone did not put on a cultural requirement to be at the wedding feast. And when the king found out, that person was thrown out. That wedding garment is something that symbolizes not something external or physical, but it symbolizes that something deep within each of us, that call to conversion, to respond to God in love and service, to put on Christ, that sign of internal conversion. And so that sense of that person had a choice and decided not to, and the king denied them that wedding feast. This week, let us pay attention to how God calls us to that sense of urgency, of kindness, and generosity, where we're called to this feast and this table to serve where everyone is welcome, the good and the bad. The reality is that the good and the bad is in each one of us, that we're all like all of those outcasts. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned the island of misfit toys that describes who we are as Christians. That we're all called who we are, no matter who we are. We're called to this feast to put on Christ, to serve in love and respond to God's generosity because there's a sense of urgency right now. Let us pay attention this week and respond to how we will respond in love and how we will help one another to that feast where all are welcome. Amen.